We are an amazing health system, and that is the truth. Unfortunately, it wasn't the action of just one. We're talking about at least 40 people. 40 people, at least, knew. Somebody was refilling the Pyxis machine. Somebody knew all those vials of fentanyl were gone. The Versed, the Dilaudid. Somebody knew.
There are a few questions that remain unanswered. Why did this happen? Who knew about it? What did they know? And when did they know it?
Somebody knew after the 5th time, after the 10th time, then after the 15th time, and the 35th time.
Was the hospital aware before October?
We've been discovering things all along as we've been learning through the investigation process.
But was there any chance to remove him prior to that?
Not before October, no.
Mount Carmel administrators have repeatedly said that they were unaware that one of its doctors was ordering high doses of pain medication and that others were administering it to near-death patients. But sources tell us the rank and file knew.
Did anyone challenge Dr. Husel over these high doses?
Now, Dr. Husel has been known to prescribe high doses of narcotics and sedatives. He has been challenged, and there have been verbal communications to managers about these things.
Mount Carmel suspended 30 employees, many of them nurses and pharmacists, and submitted their names to their respective state boards for potential discipline. Documents sent from the boards allege that the nurses should have known these dosages were harmful. Mount Carmel admits its own internal reporting system led an employee to blow the whistle on Husel in late October. Remember, between October 2018, when the hospital said it first learned of an allegation involving Husel's patient care, and November, when they removed him from patient care, 3 patients died. And something else happened. Husel's name was included on a list of physicians who were re-credentialed and reappointed to the active medical roster. Critics say this illustrates another institutional failure, that the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing.
The processes in place were not sufficient to prevent these actions from happening.
And while the hospital has acknowledged some responsibility, it has only communicated through news releases and videos it creates. They've claimed the prosecutor's office and their own attorneys have told them not to speak about the scandal. So when Mount Carmel ends up in the news again with additional tragedies, a deadly helicopter crash involving a partner agency and a Legionella outbreak, when 2 of these incidents involved internal failures, we still had questions. Sean, I'm wondering, it appears as though you guys have gone from one controversy with the patient overdose scandal to this one dealing with Legionella. I'm wondering what role or responsibility administrators bear for that, for both of those.
You know, we're talking about the Legionella situation today. You know, if there's another time that you want to get together and talk about that, Samantha, I'm sure, can arrange for that.
Sure. I mean, we've asked that repeatedly. I just want, you guys have been rather sheltered from direct questions related to the patient overdose scandal. I'm just wondering if there's anything that you guys would care to share in regards to bearing responsibility for what happened, not only with that, but with this.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're here to talk about Legionella today.
He would not answer our questions. Dr. Husel has also said very little.
Dr. Husel, do you have any answers as to why?
No comment.
Is it fair that you're walking out of jail today?
No comment again. Sorry.
Dr. Husel's medical license has been suspended, his Medicaid provider agreement is on hold, and now he's facing a murder trial accused of ordering too much fentanyl for 25 of the 35 patients who died under his care.
So what do you say to that?
Just trust the process.
Do you trust the process?
Yes.
Do you feel that in the end you will come out not guilty?
Hope so.
Never did Dr. Husel or anyone on his team have the intent to speed up a patient's death.
These were conscious decision-making orders by the physician.
Attorney Jerry Leesburg and his firm represent 17 of the patients' families suing the hospital and Dr. Husel, including 2 patients who died within hours of each other, Timothy Fitzpatrick and Beverly Schertzinger. In Fitzpatrick's case, something unusual happens.
He asked for 1,000 micrograms of fentanyl to overdose a patient and was told by the pharmacist that they didn't have enough fentanyl and that they would therefore request that if he was able to accomplish what he needed to accomplish with 500 micrograms, if that was sufficient. And he said yes. So he took 500 micrograms and gave it to one patient, and then he took the other 500 micrograms and gave it to another patient.
The other patient to receive 500 micrograms of fentanyl that day was Amy Paff's mother, Beverly Schertzinger.
The pharmacy didn't have enough fentanyl. That's an issue. Why do they not have enough fentanyl? Because this doctor keeps giving them to these patients. You know, the fact that he gave it to one patient and then gave it to another, and it's upsetting.
Just the estate of Ryan Hayes.
While the hospital isn't saying much publicly these days, it is quietly settling some of the cases involving these patients' families. So far, the hospital has paid out roughly $4 million, including $485,000 to the family of Ryan Hayes, one of two patients, to get 2,000 micrograms of fentanyl.
We don't really have any evidence, for example, that Mr. Hayes was going to survive regardless of Dr. Husel's intervention.
Even though the attorneys acknowledge their client may have died anyway, that hasn't stopped these settlements from coming in. I asked one of the attorneys if that fact creates a defense for Dr. Husel.
He did something criminal, and it's really not about the survivability so much of these patients. It's really about lack of oversight by the hospital system and by his criminal actions in prematurely terminating these patients.
Any explanation you can give on behalf of the doctor?
Not right now.
When you say not right now, when will that be?
Well, I imagine there's going to be a trial.
A criminal trial that could last 8 weeks.
We're talking about the ability to exonerate him and the ability for me, as his lawyer, to appropriately defend him without compromising an ongoing murder case.
Attorneys for Husel and the hospital want a judge to place additional civil lawsuits on hold while the criminal matter is still pending. But attorneys for the patients' families have said there's still a lot of work to do. They want to interview the nurses and the pharmacists, and they want to review hospital policies.
I think it's very important to find the root cause of why did this happen? How did it go on for 4 years? Once we determine that root cause, that's going to be important for all hospitals to incorporate that in and make sure this doesn't happen at some other hospital, some future date.
Even with a potential criminal trial and dozens of wrongful death lawsuits, it may not answer all of the questions. We may never learn why. We do know how we got here.